Auto Red Aggro against Is It Phoenix. Todd on your right, Scott Sullivan on your left. These players will be given the green right here, and they are two of among 801 players here this weekend at the Indianapolis Convention Center here for SCG Indy. A Shivan Reef is where we will begin things. For Todd, it's a Monastery Swiss beer right into the red zone.
Yep.
You had better approve of that.
I do. One of the better cards in the format, too.
Good card. Good card, general.
Very strong card.
Wild Slash going to take care of that. Remember, this format doesn't really have a lot of removal, but the red decks do have access to Wild Slash, so that'll take care of the Swift Spear. Anderson playing a lower-to-the-ground red deck with Abbot of Carroll Keep, Eidolon the Great Revel, Torbrand. One thing I can say about Todd, too, as a Steam Vents is going to enter the battlefield untapped, he's really explored these red strategies in the format. His chonky red deck certainly did have an impact on Pioneer from all of his streaming. Was going a little bit bigger with Glorybringer back when that was a thing to be doing, but in a field of Inverter and Underworld Breach, yeah, I would stay away from the Glory Bee. Yeah,
it looks like Todd has kept a one-lander on the draw with multiple Swift Spears and a light up the stage. I keep hands like this all the time. They go bad a good percentage of the time, but they are very hard to get away from.
There's some high upside there, too.
Yeah, rip a land, or if your Swift Spear is good, you can talk yourself into it on both sides.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah.
Here's the thing in the ice. That one might cause some problems here for Anderson. The 0-4 is here. Now Wild Slash is there. Thing in the ice will lose one of those counters, so it's going to come down to 3. And Todd's aggression has been blunted. He'll draw a card. It is not a land. It's a copy of Skewer the Critics.
Just getting Magic Online flashbacks right now. I've seen this. So post-board, Anderson picks up some answers to Thing in the Ice, but game one, it is going to be a superstar against him. It can undo his battlefield. He can't kill it very easily, and it also kills him very fast.
This will be a copy of Optus. Thing in the Ice is going to fall down to 2 counters, thawing itself out here, and perhaps soon we'll see a copy of Awoken Horror.
Got bad news for you, Todd. Foil, Invasion, Opt. This person means business. This is not their first time.
Top card will go to the bottom. New card coming here
cheap.
for Sullivan.
I don't think
it's
that
not
cheap.
No. We'll be talking about those soon. A way to make your cards a little bit cheaper.
Oh, I'm excited.
After game number 1. Thing in the Ice number 2 is here, and Sullivan will pass the turn back over to Anderson. Anderson will draw.
That looks right.
That's an Abbot of
Welcome back to the feature match area, Todd Anderson.
It might be time to discard. Bone Crusher Giant looks like it's headed to the bin here in just a moment. Tough start to the day.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
I don't think, I mean, even if he peeled land number 2, this might have been a tricky one to get against Thing in the Ice, but the draw step's not cooperating. Oh, there we go. That's going to be a finale of promise there.
You know what that is?
Todd's going to let this one go.
So old Todd would keep playing.
Plays it out.
Yeah. New Todd, coverage Todd.
Right.
He's out.
Values his time too highly.
He's off.
It's something that happens when you start working in the booth. You start valuing your time differently.
It's tough. It's tough. But that's how it goes. All right, Patrick.
Talk to me.
I told you about a way for people to save cards.
Talk to me about it.
I
want to hear about it.
We got a new sale coming right now. 10% off.
Oh, my goodness.
Magic singles through Sunday.
10% off.
Sunday. And we got a coupon code. I'm going to let you riff on this.
So you save 10% on Magic singles.
Great
through
start.
Sunday.
Great start.
Sunday is still a day away. So you got some time to think about what you want to order and then go ahead and order it.
That's true.
Use your coupon code at checkout, SCG10. It takes 10% off your entire order, all singles, excluding pre-orders. That's a small caveat. Want to get that out of the way so you don't think you're free-rolling us on those pre-rollers. Can't do that. But all the other singles, 10% off. Great time to pick up a bunch of singles all through Sunday at StarCityGames.com.
I'm looking at a Theros Mountain, Lightning Greaves, Stoneforge Mystic, not legal in this format, legal in Modern, God Eternal Keftan, a card I had the privilege of previewing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Wizards of the Coast. Elspeth Sun's Nemesis. I may have been wrong about that one. Thought it might be the best white planeswalker of all time. Nothing yet. Dark Confidant. There's a lot of time.
There's a lot of time.
Dark Confidant, Abrupt Decay, Life from the Loam. Those are the 7 cards. Great selection of cards. Save 10%. Head over to StarCityGames.com to learn more. As we're going to pull this down. And now, let's do a little sideboard action here,
Let's
shall
talk
we?
about it.
Let's talk about what Scott and Todd have in their boards. We'll start with Todd, who's got 4 Rampaging Ferocidon, 3 Boros Reckoner. Been a minute since I've seen that card. 3 Lava Coil, 3 Damping Spheres. That one's for Lotus Breach. And then 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance.
So there's 5 obvious ones here for me in 3 Lava Coils and 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance. Todd needs to pick up some answers to Thing in the Ice. Chandra isn't the most reliable. Lava Coil is pretty reliable, but he needs to at least give it a shot. That card's not an easy card for him to answer game 1. Some cards that deal 4 damage are major upgrades. I could see maybe bringing in Boros Reckoner if you think that Sullivan is just largely on red removal, but it's pretty modest here. I think it's more for the mirror match. But those cards that deal 4, Lava Coil and Chandra, I believe those are coming in.
Other side of things here for Sullivan, 3 Crackling Drakes, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Fry, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Magma Spray, 2 Disdainful Stroke, and a Saheeli Sublime Artificer.
I'm interested in Anger of the Gods and Magma Spray, just good removal spells for a deck that's saturated with cheap creatures. If you think the game's going to go on for a little bit longer and you want a little bit more 4 toughness to get around the shocks and lightning strikes, I could see Crackling Drake coming in. I think Saheeli is justifiable too, but some of those options are kind of on the modest side. And Sullivan's main deck is basically just cantrips, removal, and some threats that are pretty good here. I'm not that interested in Brazen Borrower or Nimble Obstructionist. They're more for some of the more sort of fidgety interactive matchups that this one really isn't about, so you got a little bit of room to sideboard in. But past that, I don't see him having room for 7 or 8 sideboard cards, so it'll probably just be the sprays and the angers.
All right, we're going to take a moment to learn a little bit more about Todd Anderson if we can before this second game of competition. The 33-year-old who did reside in Roanoke, Virginia. Now he's hanging out in California alongside his wife, Callie Anderson. Didn't play a lot of opens last year because he was doing some coverage, folks. But all-time, 32 open top 8s with 6 wins, 4 invitational top 8s, and a win in Atlanta a handful of years ago. I know because he beat me in that tournament, unfortunately. He has an old cat, a blind cat, and a dumb cat, which I know is true because I've hung out at his house before.
I know.
That's right.
I remember that invitational. I remember you feeling it.
I lost playing for top 8
I
twice.
know. I remember.
Not
Old
happy.
Cedric was back.
Not happy about it. Mountain to start here for Anderson. Let's make it a second mountain. Better than the last game. Eidolon the Great Revel is a good place to start versus Izzet Phoenix.
Yeah.
Scott Sullivan started things off with a Steam Vent Center in the battlefield tap, so this looks a little bit more like what Mono Red should be doing.
Whether or not Eidolon is one of the best cards in the format, I think is up for some debate, but it is certainly one of the more impactful ones.
Izzet Charm will be played. Eidolon's going to die, but Scott Sullivan will take 2 from the trigger. We'll head back over to Anderson, who does have another land in his hand and just drew another mountain. So lands will not be a problem this game. You hope if you're Todd, you're not flooding. He's going to play Castle Embrith into a Light Up the Stage. So top couple of cards is a mountain and another copy of Light Up the Stage. So maybe a little too many lands this time. So we head back over to Scott Sullivan.
Though Todd does have a fair bit to do with his mana. He does have Chandra, Torch of Defiance post board, and it does set up some really nice Abbot of Carol keep turns if you can play Abbot with a bunch of lands, and you have Castle Embreth. So he is drawing a little bit more mana than maybe is desirable, but he has things to do with it. He's not just flooding out.
Mountain there for Anderson.
Bang!
Go to Chandra, Torch of Defiance. -3. Thing in the Ice, kindly leave. Light Up the Stage will not be played off of exile, so it's gone for good, but he's got the powerful 4-mana Planeswalker on the battlefield.
Huge win for Anderson. Thing in the Ice, like I said, game 1, very, very hard to beat if Sullivan has any reasonable draw to go alongside of it. The cards in Anderson's sideboard that deal 4 damage are really, really important for managing it.
A very timely copy of Arclight Phoenix is going to take care of the Chandra. Todd would love to untap with that Planeswalker. However, he has drawn a copy of Abbot of Carol Keep, so looks like he'll be starting there. We'll reveal the top card. That card is a Monastery Swiftspear. That one's easy enough to cast. And the follow-up is a Mountain. He'll come across here for at least 1, and there is 1 point of damage. 2 prowess threats on the battlefield. Anderson will pass the turn back. Back to Scott Sullivan. Will go for his 5th turn of the game. He did a nice job of taking care of Chandra earlier in the game. His Thing in the Ice did die, and of course he had to kill that Eidolon the Great Revel because Izzet Phoenix really can't do much while that card's on the battlefield.
One's pretty interesting game in this spot. Anderson, hopefully from his side, shaping it up to be very much a fast damage race here, and that's the easiest way to punish Sullivan, sort of spending time and mana casting cantrips instead of interacting with the battlefield.
Chart of Course is going to be played, and we're going to do some discarding. Here is a copy of Fiery Temper with the Madness.
Combo deck.
Absolutely.
It's a combo. about to say that pre-combat chart of the course there, I was a little surprised to see.
I was thinking the same thing.
But if you already had the Fiery Temper rolled up, makes a lot of sense.
Now here's a Lightning Axe to take care of the Swift Spear. We're doing it expensive. Going to discard a Spirebluff Canal, come across for 3 in the air. Will Anderson fire off a Wild Slash here to kill the Phoenix? It looks like the answer is no. So Anderson will untap those lands. He'll draw himself a card. He picked up another copy of Abbot of Carol Keep, so he's going to start there. Give you another look at it. Trigger, top card, Mountain, enters the battlefield. Here comes old Torby. A card Todd knows very well, and Torbrand, Thane of Red Fell. We head back over to Scott Sullivan now. He's going to want to get that Torbrand off the battlefield.
And 4 toughness is also sort of a sweet spot against Sullivan's deck as well. He does not have a whole lot of removal that answers this cleanly. And if you've seen this card in action, 1 on tap step with any sort of hand, particularly with Castle Embereth, Sullivan might die next turn just from what Anderson has on the battlefield and maybe a spell or 2 left over in hand.
Yeah, you mentioned it. There's not a lot of great ways to take care of Torbrand. Lightning Axe was just used to kill a Monastery Swift Spear, for example. So that's 1 less copy of that card to get the 2/4 off the battlefield. So now Scott Sullivan's play has slowed down dramatically. Does he have an answer? Well, he's got a copy of Thing in the Ice. Not a bad card to have. Very powerful card in this matchup. Though, as you mentioned during sideboarding, Anderson does have more answers to that card after sideboard.
Well, also, if Torbrand gets untapped, now all your shocks do it too.
Absolutely.
It really expands the range of things that you can answer Thing in the Ice with.
Arclight Phoenix is going to come in for 3 in the air. No sense in hanging back on defense with that card. So Anderson will fall down to 14. Sullivan takes the lead. As far as life totals are concerned, 15 to 14. But you can tell that Scott might be in some trouble here. He better have another copy of Lightning Axe to take care of Torbrand, as Anderson's already reaching to put his Abbot of Carol Keep in the graveyard. You see Sullivan taking a look at Torbrand. All your damage for red stuff is going to be +2, as there is Lightning Axe to take care of Torbrand. Good idea. Get that thing off the battlefield. Thing in the Ice is going to fall down to 3. And now, does he have another removal spell? He's a Treasure Cruise.
Oh, man,
wow.
what a turn.
Forgot that card was even in Pioneer. We don't ever see it.
It's like, oh, that's legal, right.
Yeah.
What a turn from Sullivan. The amount of time that he was tanking there, I assumed he was in some sort of trouble.
Likewise.
Like, considering maybe I need to hang back with Arclight Phoenix, something. But instead, had the perfect removal spell, a Thing in the Ice. Might have missed that trigger. And Treasure Cruise to tie it all up.
Well, Anderson's in some trouble now. He's going to start, of course, with Abbot of Carol Keep. See if Sullivan wants to block with Thing in the Ice or not. You're going to get a Castle Embereth activation. So this will be 3 damage. You see Anderson does just have lands and Wild Slash in hand, so he'll play a Mountain and he'll pass the turn back. Chandra would be a great top deck, light up the stage 2. Perhaps an additional copy of Abbot of Carol Keep. So there are good draws here for Anderson in this spot, but right now Sullivan's got the lead, and he's going to try to press his advantage by going to, is that a Tome Scour?
Yes, it is.
Targeting himself. Wow. 5 cards head to the graveyard. That helps to enable Treasure Cruise, so maybe we have another one of those.
Not quite Faithless Looting, but, you know, a lot of the same interactions. It's good with a lot of the same stuff. It's just not as good as Faithless Looting.
You are not wrong. Main deck Tome Scour is kind of cute, as it looks like we might see another Treasure Cruise here.
Oh, he has 4. There's it's not messing around here.
Maybe catch your inverter opponent off guard. Dome him.
I'm sure it comes up.
Yep.
Yeah, dome you.
Let's see what our follow-up is here. All right, looks like it's going to be a copy of Visit Charm. That's going to transform Thing in the Ice. Abbot of Carol Keep is headed back to the grip, as is Arclight Phoenix. Draw 2. Discard 2 Phoenixes.
Whoa, some combos.
Yeah, this is a heck of a turn. Wild Slash is going to take care of Phoenix. Anderson's going to take 7, 8, 9, 10. He's going to fall down to 4, and he's going to need let's say a really good Abbot trigger, among other things. Back to Todd. Another Mountain is not what he's looking for. That's not what he flew across the country to see. How about another Mountain? There's lands, and that's going to do it. Scott Sullivan's going to win this game and match over Todd Anderson 2 games to 0. Is it Phoenix will take care of Mono Red Aggro, and for Scott Sullivan, his day is off to a great start. Thing in the Ice, Arclight Phoenix, and Is it Phoenix? Perhaps they're back in Pioneer.
So I